Hello and welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope you are having a fantastic weekend so far. Great to see everybody. I have got a fantastic guest joining me today, but before I bring him on, let me say hello to everybody. We've got TZ Canadian. Hello, good to see you. We've got Chad Thomas. Good to see you also. Punkwaddle. Hello, good afternoon. We've got Camphor. Hello, Camphor. Lemon Pie. Ren Zero. JPRPH1, hello love, good to see you. We have got both Bash brothers, we have got Chris and Mark. Hello gentlemen, good to see you. Psycho Dwarf 9. Who else have we got? We have got the lovely Arwen, hello Arwen, and Louise, hello sweetheart, good to see you. We have got Pat S and Dave Bob the Rooster. Hey Dave Bob. Let's see who else has joined. I saw Project Storytime, hello, good to see you. Hey, let's see who else. It skipped on me, as it always does. Lemon Pie, hey Lemon Pie, good to see you. And we've got super chats in already, guys. You are awesome. So let me grab these first. D-Bud Martin, hello honey, good to see you. He says, Purple, you'll hit me with your best shot on Friday. You're a knockout, I'm still stunned. Oh, thank you, honey. I did subject people to singing on Friday on Paulie's show, so a big thank you to everybody who was so kind about that, and well done to everybody who took part. That was a really fun show, so thank you, D-Bud. Thank you, honey. And I just saw Pappy, or Daft Poppy, as we might have to start calling him from now on. He says, "Hail, Purple and Adega. Adega, bad news. Kurtzman gets renewed for 5 years at $150 million. Please send Purple to my taco lair to provide much needed emotional, in brackets, and physical, perhaps, support in these trying, sad Hollywood times." Oh, honey, I know. I saw the news. It's talk about failing upwards. We just can't get rid of Kurtzman, can we? Oh, gosh. Makes you wonder what other franchises he's going to be getting his hands on. But that doesn't bear thinking about at the moment. Today we are celebrating Adega. So, guys, let me bring him on. You know him. You love him. He is the Doctor of Disaster and Destruction. He is a published author and the creator of worlds. He is also known as Valhalla's very own Doc Holliday. It's Adega.
I'm still recovering from that loud intro. Deafness here now, I think. Hello. A lot of nice things said, and I don't believe any of them, but that's okay.
That's okay. You don't have to believe them, but they are true. So, and would I lie to you, Adega? No, I wouldn't.
No, Mexican Iron Man would, but you verified that about Kurtzman, so I am sad.
Me too. Yes.
You know what, though? Here's the thing: you go back 100 years. The IP that he's screwing with didn't exist. People had other forms of entertainment, and they were smarter than we are. Granted, we have more technology, but they were actually smarter people than we are. So maybe we should take a lesson from them and kind of just ignore all the garbage, because we had our run with it. Let them play in the crap that's left over, and we'll go on to other things.
Yes, I mean, we do always say, one, support independent creators such as yourself. Plug, guys.
Well, there isn't anything anybody can get from me right now other than my YouTube channel. You can't go to top fives whenever they decide to start releasing my stuff. I get paid for it, but they haven't put it out yet. So we'll see.
And congratulations again for that. When you first told us, I was absolutely blown away about that. I was like, oh my God, I love that channel.
I was blown away too. For those of you who don't know, because there's a lot of people in the chat that I have no idea who you are. And hello, I thought I was called on by Purple just for filler because she didn't have anybody else to come on, and she knew I'd pretty much do whatever she asked. And plus, I owe her because she's read the second book that I wrote, trying to give me heads up on what's going on. But yeah, you people that I don't know, a little heads up. I had wrote some stuff, and it's not available now. But my stuff has been, people have been noticing it, and I'm very, very fortunate, very flattered. And one day, a guy who does music for me, he brilliant guy. And he calls up and says, hey, you need to write an email to this person. I said, why? And they said, well, they want to talk with you. And I said, why? And they said, just do it. So I trust him. I did it. And lo and behold, it was this YouTube channel, Top Fives, that has over 3 million people, 3.5 million people that are subscribed to it. And they want me to write scripts for their stories. And I'm just going, ooh, crud. And it was true. They've even been paying me.
That's amazing. So it literally just kind of came out of the blue.
Yeah. I was like, okay. You like what I do? All right.
Yay.
Exactly.
That's amazing. I check every time that they release a video just in case it's got Adega's name on, but not yet.
Well, they said they were going to send. Yeah, they said they were going to send me an email before they actually did it, and they estimated it would be towards the middle or end of July. So I think I mentioned this to you before. I gave them some really hard stuff to find images for. So I'm just thinking, yeah, good luck, team.
Yes.
Good luck.
Yes. Yes. Could you kind of share with the audience one of them? Because you said it was so hard. There was literally only maybe 3 pictures of this thing.
Right. And for my background, just for people to know, I've dealt with sciences across the board. I was a doctor for 25 years before I had to retire because of health reasons. But so they use me for the scientific stuff. And this one was to do some things about, and they've done things like this before, so I had to pick stuff that they hadn't done, about aquatic life that no one knows about. And so I went to the most recent discoveries, and these happen to be very, very deep life forms. And so they send these probes down around the world, and every once in a while something pops up in front of their camera and go, whoa, what the heck is that? And they got these new discoveries, and they have to study it and find it again over a period of time before they can put it in categories, classify it with which animal group it is, and if they can hopefully grab samples and figure out what it is. Well, a couple of these are ones that are so new and so hard to find that there's just 1 or 2 images of it, and they're trying to make a 25 minute video out of this. Hopefully mine's going to be a bit longer. And I think, good luck, team. I found 2 pictures. You're on your own. They loved it, but you know what? The editors are probably just going, you guys are evil.
Sitting there cursing your name at the moment. We can't film
Right. You're going to learn about a type of jellyfish that has only been seen twice at the time that I wrote it, at least I could find. And they have these long filaments, and it glows and it's just really, really cool. It looks like a balloon. They called it the party balloon, or, party. That's
a really undignified name for it. That's fantastic. We are so proud of you.
It's fun. I'm having a good time.
I thought that was the case. Yeah, I can see you kind of rubbing your hands together with glee, just giving them, just give them a challenge.
No, sorry.
And I think even Mark called you. What did he call you? A mad scientist?
Mad scientist. There may be some truth to that.
So Bob says jelly party.
Yeah. Well, there's some cool stuff in it. When it comes out, I'll post it. And anyone who likes ocean stuff, it was fascinating. This is really cool stuff. And you get these things, and then the whole idea is to write a script to where the narrator gives you not only the information but sounds intelligent. And hopefully we did that. I'm
sure. Is this something that you love to do? I mean, obviously you're a renowned author. You're a published author. You've got a lot of books behind you. Do you love to research? Is this how you write? Do you like to really kind of get your teeth into the research before you do something?
To be honest with you, with the sci-fi stuff, there wasn't a lot of research that I needed to do, simply because it's stuff that I've been fascinated with my whole life. Astronomy, magnetics of the universe, contrary to how they tell you how the universe works with the Big Bang and everything works on gravity, where the real science behind it, which they, a lot of these scientists, they got big egos. It's like the healthcare. You guys can see what's going on with that. But these scientists have big egos and they don't want to be proven wrong. Mm-hmm. Like the existence of black holes or gravity keeps solar systems in line, when it's not the case. Everything is based on a magnetic universe. They have found stars that outdate the Big Bang, meaning something's wrong with the Big Bang. Well, the Russians figured it out years ago. They had this telescope that was underground that prevented certain gamma and other type of radiation coming into the observatory, and it would corrupt the information. All of our telescopes, even the ones that are sitting in space, still have that background radiation coming in, except for the specific design where it was down and it wouldn't go in. And when they did that, they found out that the universe existed far, far longer than what they're being told. And it was just that one telescope, and no one else is building another one, simply because it will screw up the data that they've established over the years.
But isn't that what science is all about? It's about...
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
But now it's about how much scratch can we make off of this, and how many people can I impress by standing on some pulpit somewhere or being on TV saying, "Yeah, I know my stuff."
When, clearly they don't. Because I always thought the whole point of science is you keep moving forward, you keep discovering. Even if what you found in the past is wrong, that's okay, because that's how you learn.
Yeah. That's why, and I will listen to those other guys. I'll listen to everybody. Flat earthers, I'll listen to them and then go laugh at them behind their back. But I'll listen, everyone. Here's the thing. People wouldn't believe something if somewhere along the line there wasn't some tiny grain of truth in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it develops into, it's like with religions. There are so many different religions. Well, there's some truth in each one of them, enough to bring people in. Doesn't mean everything's true about them, but there's grains of truth all over the place. And the idea is to find it, and then put it all together in a package that makes it work. So that's what I've been doing since I was a kid.
I was wondering that just before I ask the next question, let me grab this super chat from MB Geek. Thank you. He says, from a family of huggers, I bet Purple Valkyrie is a light hugger. Nope. I like to squeeze people when I give them a hug. But I'm very short, so most people get like a hug around the waist.
She does that to steal your belt.
or wallet. Yeah.
Ulterior motives behind all this. Impressive looks, short stature, give you a hug, and you're broke in 5 minutes.
They never see it coming, Adega. When we introduced you, we were talking about your books. We talked a little bit about the kind of process. You said it was very different for your science fiction books. How do you start your books? Is this an idea that you've always had, that you wanted to kind of get on paper, as it were, or does it kind of evolve as you write the books?
Well, the main character was somebody that I've thought about for a long time. Everything else came as I wrote it, which pisses a lot of writers off, because most writers, pretty much almost all of them that I've ever talked to or met, they plan it out. They put outlines. They do all this stuff. And me, it just comes out. But my interest in doing anything sci-fi started really, really young. It was before I even read books. My mom had that. Some of you will know the World Book Encyclopedia. It was a massive set. They were like 18 books. Y and Z were bundled up. There's a few of them, so it wasn't all individual alphabetized. But I'd always go to the space section to look at the artist drawings of the different planets and different things, and it just fascinated me while I was listening to Herb Albert in the background. And I think that turned something on to where everything seemed bigger, and I wanted to reach out and go there. And that led me to reading the dang encyclopedia. I think I got up to R somewhere. I didn't finish it, but I read most of it.
I've never known anyone to actually sit down and read encyclopedias. I've always known people to use them as kind of research. So you think of a topic and then you look it up, but you've
Nah.
read them.
No, actually, I made it past R. I got into S. It got to the sex part, and then I'm just going, whoa, 9-year-old going, what the heck? They don't teach us in school. At least they didn't at the time. So.
We'll just dwell on this a bit, just for research.
No, I wasn't that kind of kid. I like just going, oh my word, okay, yeah, oh okay, whoa, really? My sister has to go through that.
Yeah, it's kind of off-putting when you actually sit down and read it. It's like, oh.
I became very glad that I was a boy.
But that's really cool. I had a feeling that you would be one of these kids that had a very high vocabulary when you were a kid. A very avid reader, I would imagine.
The thing is, though, as I read, I didn't read for fantasy or sci-fi or anything. I read a couple sci-fi that my dad gave to me because he was a reader, but it was rare to see him because he was always off. He was a tractor mechanic, and he worked on bulldozers. We were in Southern California, and he was always busy, except there was a couple times during some years when Jimmy Carter was in charge of things and everything went to a halt, kind of like it is now. You get certain people involved and they shut everything down. And so he was at home a lot. And when he was home, he would read, or he'd take me out back and I'd learn how to do woodworking or, working with a welder, which I hated. I never got good at that, but, he would either be teaching me or I watch him read. So that was the only experience I really had when I was young about reading anything that was not based in reality, because I like the real stuff. I wanted to see how things worked, how, even car manuals. I read a couple of those. It's just, I know I'm weird. Sorry.
No, not at all. It's what kind of appeals to you. I've never read manuals. My upbringing, it was always I'd had enough of the real world. I wanted fantasy, I wanted sci-fi, I wanted horror, anything that I could use as an escape. So I just wondered if it was the same with you. I mean, obviously
Three Stooges and Little Rascals were a good escape for me. That and going out back and blowing things up with my buddies.
Yes, you've mentioned that before.
Yeah, in my backyard, we built a 5-story tree house, me and 4 of my friends. We wired it, had a phone, had the TV. And then my neighbor, who was down 200 yards, we'd shoot bottle rockets at each other. And it was just, my dad made us a cannon. Right. Yeah, here's a gift from your dad. He made me a cannon. So we'd blow things with a cannon, shooting fireballs up 300 feet in the air. Yeah, we did that.
Oh my gosh. You had a much more interesting childhood than I did growing up.
Well, I didn't like to sit still.
And let me just say a big thank you to Psycho Dwarf. He says, jokes on Purple Valkyrie, my wallet's empty.
And yet he gave you $2.
He did, bless him. But I'd still give you a hug, honey. So thank you. Thank you, sweetheart.
Oh, no, this would put a potato gun to shame there, Psycho. What we had was quite impressive. And then making bombs where you could lift cars. That was the stuff that we did.
Project Sword Tom says Adega Outlaw, master of fancy book of learning. So, keeping with the books and the books that you've written, obviously, first one that I ever read of yours that actually was lucky enough to pick up was Evolution. Fell in love with the characters. Been blessed enough to be able to read a few more of them and learn a little bit more about the world. Thank
you. Yeah, and for those of you, I don't make these for money if there's any, because I just got a statement, even though it's no longer in print. I got a statement. They came out biannually, so this is the final statement I got from the publishing company. Where the last one sold a couple thousand copies last half year. So I don't see a dime of it. It all gets put off into a place for my kids. Mm-hmm. So I really have not taken a quarter for anything. It's for them. Mm. And if you guys like it, I'm grateful to come along for the ride, I guess.
We love it. We really do. And I certainly love it. I fell in love with the characters the first time I read it. I think I've read Evolution probably 6 times now. The sequel that you were kind enough to send me, I think I said I read 4 times before we sat down and talked about
That's amazing. That's amazing. Because you didn't have it very long. I mean, it's not a big book, but still.
No, but it was an absolute honor to get to read it. I was absolutely blown away that you said I could. I was like, wow, thank you.
Well, the third one's waiting when you're ready.
Yes, I am following your advice. I am backtracking to listen to the previous books just to get a better idea of the world that you've written. But very much looking forward to the next one. And a big thank you to Chris Persia, who sends us a $2 super sticker, and it's a Shiba Inu pointing. So thank you, Chris. Much appreciated.
Chris is awesome.
Chris is awesome. We have an amazing chat. They're still talking about blowing things up in the chat, by the way. I think you've started something here.
Oh, well, I don't want people to be bored. And anytime explosions, people like explosions. Yeah. At least I did when I was a kid.
We made a cannon and shot it into the bayou by my house.
My friend shot it into my eye. We launched tennis balls. Yeah, it was a banksite cannon. The tube was about, there we go. Maybe almost 2 feet long, and it was made out of steel. And there was a little pool at the bottom before it had a hole, and it was blocked off. So what you do is you put a little bit of water almost up to the edge, and then you drop in banksite. And anyone who knows, you put banksite into water, it releases a gas. It's extremely, extremely explosive. So dummy us, my dad showed us how to do it. We'd put the water in, cover the hole with our finger, drop the banksite in, and then shove a tennis ball into this thing. You wait a few seconds for that banksite crystal to completely dissolve. You lift your finger and put a match on the hole. And the compressive power was nuts. It was nuts. If we put in anything that was like if we did a potato, it was incredible. But how I got shot in the eye, I was coming home from school. It was one of those things where you walk uphill both ways. And
yes, I should do.
Right. I was about 100. No, I had to have been about 200 yards away from home. It was far enough to where my friends looked about that big, and I was going down the street. And there's their house before my house, which is on the far side. And I'm walking down. I see them come out, and they're doing something on the sidewalk. And I thought, nothing. And they're working quick. I could tell they're working quick, but that's it. And all of a sudden, smack in the eye. And we had been lighting this tennis ball on fire at night and shooting it up so you could see this flaming fireball go up in the air. Well, it was charcoal. So it smacked me in the eye, knocked me on the ground, and my eye was completely black from the charcoal. It didn't do any damage, but they nailed me. And the thing is, it hit. And then like a half a second later, I could hear the boom. So I had no idea it was coming. But it was a heck of a shot.
Completely by accident, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I could not have done that.
Aim it down to the side. It was by accident, honestly.
They're carefully aiming enough. We're going to get him when he gets close enough. Yeah.
Oh, they were a good shot. They nailed me square in the face. It was awesome. I had to applaud them. There was no way I could be mad at that. That was just too perfect.
I just like the idea of just having this perfect kind of tennis ball shaped black mark.
Yeah, it's a big burn. Because it flattens out, and It was a good shot. It was a good shot.
I take my hat off to them for that one. And Mr. CD has got a good comment. He says, in regards to self-publishing, he said, I paid off the self-publish requirements in my contract a couple of years ago. Still not got, still have not made my money back on that book.
That's pretty typical for self-published. I was fortunate enough to where people loved it. And that's even considering Amazon. For those of you who want to do self-publish, try avoid them at all costs, because they take 80% off the top of the small people. Unless you have a group where you can negotiate with them, they'll take 80% off the top. And that comes from the people who actually manufacture the book that you hired to do that. And then you get your percentage from whoever manufactured that. So say you sell a book for $10, you're lucky to get 50 cents off of that book, simply because Amazon takes everything. That's their business model. And the reason why they can do that is because you want your book listed in Amazon's ranking system, you have to go through them. So
yes, and if I remember correctly, Evolution actually got quite high up.
It did.
The ranking, didn't it?
For a first-time publisher, yeah, I was pretty high. I think I cracked 100 for sci-fi at one point.
I thought so.
Yeah. It didn't last long because, it goes like this, and who's rigging the system and everything. Because a lot of authors will go out and buy their own books and then take them to conventions and sell them for a little bit more. They don't lose any money, but they get the reputation on Amazon. And I didn't do that. I let it go, and it went by word of mouth, and it did really well.
That's what we need to do next time. If we ever do a Valhalla con, we need to get Adega his own table with a big stack of books that he can sign for people to buy. That would be awesome.
Well, if I had them, I only have 3 left, and my kids want them, so
okay.
That's it. If you can find them, I check around every once in a while to see, because at one point Amazon was selling them for $45, and then they ran out of stock. And I've checked eBay, and I haven't seen any there yet. But some of them are going for pretty high, because I was getting notes from people that I had no idea existed, had no idea who they were. And they, like Darth Haster told me one time, he said he went to the gas station and some guy was talking up my book at the gas station. He had no idea who this guy was. I don't know who he was. And yet it was, people loved it. So I'm very, very fortunate that actually happened.
People really did love it. Absolutely. And Mark, going on with the cannon still, he says, tennis ball cannon made from Coke cans, good times and scorched hands. Thank you, Mark.
I still have all my fingers, and I made some big stuff.
Oh my gosh. Project Storytime says Valhalla Palooza. That's a good name. I like that.
Yeah, see, Darth, he's the one who told me about it. That one story. Oh, here he's saying it right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was just tickled.
Yeah,
very, very flattered.
It's at the cash register. Realize kind of how far it spreads out. But that is a fantastic story. So thank you for that one, Darth. Chris says, I see that Adega, there are already 2 of us lining up here. Dave, Bob, and myself want our personal copies signed.
Well, you guys know how to get a hold of me. I'll give you my P.O. box, and I'll do it. It's fine. I don't mind. Why you want my signature is beyond me. Some clown out in the middle of Wisconsin, but yeah, I'll do it. It's fine.
It's because people love the book, Adega. That's what it is. Just go with it. Just listen to Purple. She knows.
It is a whole new. It is a whole new universe. I guess I could talk about it. It's better to read it than just to hear about it. But basically, my ideas, and it's based off partly of, you guys know, when on Thursday nights, I guess Purple, she kind of wanted to talk about this, where we get into secret societies, weird things, and there are those that believe that we actually have our own, and there's evidence for it, a secret space force that's out there that has existed for some time. And there was actually a hacker in England, I can't remember his name, who hacked the Navy here in the United States through the Pentagon and was able to download ship names, crew members, and actually part of the ship, of one of the ships that are actually out in space, these extraterrestrial human operatives that are out there. So yeah, I took that idea, and then knowing that there's things on Mars and stuff, I decided to base that maybe there was a breakaway secret society that took off, went out, started to discover things. This is not the existing story. The story that I'm get to happens 1,000 years in the future. That is evolution. But the one that you can find on my YouTube channel gets into this a little bit. It starts off where this secret society, partially based in our reality, finds these things, tears them apart, starts to figure out new ways, better ways to do things, and then moves off into the universe, eliminating other species for a reason that's in the books, but I won't get into it. They just start wiping things out and get into trouble doing it. But their objective was to seek revenge for humanity as well as hide the existence of other extraterrestrials. Now, that's loosely the secondary idea behind that Children of the Directive you can find on my YouTube. But evolution is about a guy who was, it's basically genetically engineered to be a war machine, a superhuman, even though there are ways to make people more advanced. It's called evolution for a reason. Anyone could do it. We're just coming from the doctor background of things. We have come so far in science to where we know there's like codons and telomeres in different parts of our DNA that we have no idea exactly what they do. We notice that they kind of do some things, but their true function we haven't quite figured out yet, and why a lot of the DNA isn't being used. Well, my idea is that there's a chemical that is deprived us here on Earth, that for a specific reason, that will change humans the way we are from human to superhuman. Not like Superman or anything, but you think incredibly faster, you live longer, you're more healthy, and you get a quantum connection to where and you realize this, there's a type of gift that everyone gets one. They are usually genetically tied, like certain genetics, they'll get where they could read minds, other ones they could tell whether or not people are lying, things like that. Nothing really supernatural. You're not moving objects around or that type of thing. It's not like a Jedi thing, but it's premonitions. We do get premonitions, and they get accentuated in some people to an extreme degree, and it's used in the military for that, because it's so vital in the military that they start using this type of gift. That's something you're going to get to. Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun on that. But anyway, the main character was one who was designed to be even better than that. And it's how he figures out why he is and how to bring the information that he gains out of darkness to the rest of the people in human society, to actually save human society, because they don't know that they're in serious danger because of this secret society's been monkeying around with things that they shouldn't be. That's kind of the gist of the story. Mm-hmm. Did you get that from reading it?
I did, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love the idea that it kind of unlocks our kind of hidden potential. Like you said, it's nothing supernatural. It's just something that is within us. And by taking this, it elevates people to the next level of their evolution. I think that works really well. I'm always kind of curious to see what gifts people have, because some of them, as you say, seem to be a little bit more common than others. And then some of them are very rare. But it's the way that people use these gifts within the stories that matter. Especially
here's something,
depending on what jobs they do.
Right. And here's something that's kind of, you're going to get into it by listening to Children Directive, but it has to do with May. She's a liar. You'll find that out. Not about most things, but she does lie about things, and it will make sense when you eventually get to the third book. She's a good person, don't get me wrong, but she is a very good liar. Never play poker with this character. You will lose every time. I don't care who you are. perfect poise, perfect control, perfect face. You'd never know. Never know.
Yes. We were talking just last week about the books, and you said that she's your favorite character. She's probably one of the best written female sci-fi characters that have come across in a very
I'll
long
put her up
time.
against anybody. I'll just, there's one other thing. If I could ever pat myself about my back about three things. I was a good chiropractor. I was a great musician. And the character May, in my opinion, is the best written sci-fi female, period. Mm-hmm. I'll put her up against anybody. Bring them on.
I got it. I love May. I love another female character of yours, which is Janice. But May is a brilliantly written character. She's so well-rounded. And having to go back now to listen to kind of get her backstory and her background, it's kind of like it's a treat because I'm getting to know her a lot better than I did reading the books. So
wait till she goes to Japan.
See, he keeps doing this to me, chat. He keeps dropping these little hints and these little tidbits, and I don't know what they're in context for. There you go.
Here's one thing: her booty gets her in trouble. We'll put it that way. Yes. I did forget, and I want to keep it that way. And yet there's people like you that remind me Project Storytime. Josh, Mikey Spock is completely forgettable.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, Kurtzman may argue with you that she's the bestest ever, but really? Bring it on, buddy. Put your money down.
So that's one of the things I wanted to kind of touch on as well in regards to your writing. Everybody here loves the Thursday shows. We love that, the dynamic that you and Loki have, because you kind of focus on the real world and take us down a dark path, and then Loki will tell us a scary story so people can't sleep at night.
Right.
How do you decide what you're going to talk about? Do you have anything? Do you have a theme in plan, or do you just kind of pick something out of the ether that you want to talk about?
It just depends on what happens during the week. Sometimes it's a last minute thing, not often. Other times it's just things, I've studied this before, let's bring this up. Or, this thing about this certain group pisses me off, and so I'm going to let people know what I know. Mm-hmm. There are things about me and my history that I don't share. I can't share. But and this is even before I had the Secret Service guy as my patient. But they started me off to realize that there are things in the world that are hidden, that are very dark, manipulative, some cases evil, some cases not. But I was stunned, even back when I was young, to find out that this stuff really does exist. And I have proof. I don't need to share it to anyone because I don't care if you believe me or not. But I have proof. If you ever found out what I'm telling you about, I could show you.
I believe you.
But that is stuff that I've known about for a very long time. And, people go about their lives. And one of the troubling things about the way our society is set up, don't get me wrong. And hey, Drew, you're awesome. Good friend of mine. One of the things about the way our society is set up is it's very easy to lose track of who you are and of what you can be. Mm-hmm. And what your brain can do. Because we're trained as kids. You sit in a chair and you get force fed, boom, 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 boom. Then you get into the workforce or in another school and you get brain fed, boom, 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 boom. This is people telling you all the time. This is instead of using your own brain to reach out and find out, discover, go beyond, there's always doors that block and prevent your way from going further. Mm-hmm. And I find that quite frustrating. And these little things that I do on Thursday nights with Loki is an attempt to open up people's minds to things that when you go to work and you go home, and nothing wrong with reading fantasy. It's, you need that escape. There's the old adage that the wise man was playing with a string, or not playing with the string. He was just sitting there fuddling around, and his student came up and says, well, why are you just screwing around? You're supposed to be doing all these brilliant things. And he says, well, if you have a bow that's strung all the time, eventually it loses its spring. You have to relax, which is fine. But sometimes you need to also have your eyes opened so that the pitfalls of previous lost civilizations don't happen to us again.
Yes, and that's one of the things I was going to touch on. I'll just grab these couple of super chats and then I'll ask as well. So a big thank you to Mexican Iron. He says May can even take out Mikey Burnham and Teela in a single cage match. That I do not doubt at all. Supreme Heretic, hello, love, good to see you. Says I want to support my lovely friends. Always good to see you, Drew. Hope you're having a good Sunday. And from Mr. CCDV, thank you, sir. He says it's nice thing about being retired is I don't have to worry about what I'm supposed to, in quotations, think. That's one of the things I wanted to touch on, actually. So big thank you to Mr. CCDV. And hello to the boss, Loki. Good afternoon. He says, beware the Drew. Good to see you.
Yeah. Do you know the Drew jokes?
I don't know.
Actually, it's a little too adult for this crowd. Just know that when Drew turns left or right, don't be standing next to him. He'll take out the whole village in one swing.
We've got lots of hashtag beware the Drews in the chat. You guys are the best. That's one of the things I was going to ask. Not about Drew. Sorry, sweetheart.
In his long reach.
When you do the Thursday shows, are you very conscious of how limited you are with what you can say, especially with YouTube? Because YouTube are notorious for cracking down on these sort of subjects that you like to talk about.
Yeah, no, very much so. There's the depth of things that I could get into is immense, and bring all the receipts, which would shut down Loki's show. He knows it. He keeps saying you can go ahead, but there's no way. Like if I was to talk about our current situation with the epidemic and tell you everything, his show would be down in a heart. I mean, it would be down before we even finished the show. Same with my channel, just because I was the one presented, it gone instantly. Because there are powers that be making lots of money at the suffering of other people. In details I won't get into, that want it to stay that way. And we are the pawns. And anyone who decides to stick their head up and shout the truth, they try and lob it off. So, yeah, I put the brakes on quite a bit.
I thought that might be the case, unfortunately, as much as I would really love to pick your brains about, because I know, obviously, you say you, and I believe you have a much more in-depth knowledge about kind of the ins and outs of this. It's frustrating that you know for a fact that if you did talk about it, you get penalized for it. So
right.
That is a shame.
I brought up with Loki it was this past Thursday, that actually doing something on Discord where I just open up, let people know health stuff.
That would be good. Yes. I believe the only other one that kind of is like that is Odysee as well, where they don't mind what you talk about. So that's a possible as well. But it is frustrating, because you think obviously we have free speech, but we know that's not the case.
No, we do have free speech, but we also have companies that decide to prevent you from speaking. It's like the duct tape salesmen are just going to stick it over your face. Speak all you want. Just, you know what? We stuck duct tape on your face and no one's going to hear you. That's their idea. That's their arrogance.
Absolutely. I was going to ask, is that kind of something that you've always been interested in? Is this a subject that's always been kind of in the back of your mind? Obviously, forces playing with our lives? Is that something that you always know?
Well, I'll give you an age, but I won't give you details.
Okay.
Since I was 14, and I can't talk about it.
Yes.
There was something huge, and I only share with very, very select people just because it's unreal. But I know it's true, and I could prove it, but it is very much unreal.
Absolutely. And Renzira says that as Bill Hicks famously said, you're free to do what we tell you. And hello to Lady Mist. Hello, lovely. Good to see you.
Man, there's one you could talk to about my stuff. She's gone through all of the Evolution series, all 5 books.
Yes, Lady Mist is a big, big fan as well, isn't she? Absolutely. Of all of your books, which are you most proud of, or is it like you can't pick one because you love all of them?
I do love all of them for different reasons, because each one I try and do something a little different. I learned from someone, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it happened to do with Star Wars, the first series, because I heard, and you guys can correct me, those of you that follow it better than I do, that his intent was with each movie, you had to add either a new species, some new technology, something brand new instead of rehashing the old stuff. And I had to bring in new characters. I had to make the universe bigger each time I did it, except the first one, the Children of the Directive. But I wanted it a history, and I've done 2 history ones. But Children of the Directive is more entertaining. The one I just finished was the Organza history. And that one probably, like I said, I keep all of them about here for me. That one, I would say, if there's one I picked that was the weakest, this would be it. Not necessarily because of how I wrote it, but, well, I guess it would be how I wrote it. I was torn between having people enjoy the characters versus telling the history. I wanted the history more than anything. But, I didn't catch what he said, but telling the story, the characters, they start, let me see.
It says, I've talked to Adega Outlaw about a great many things privately. I respect the man so much, and he's been a wonderful friend to me.
We are friends, absolutely. I trust Drew. He's a good man. When he says something, he's honest about it. I value his friendship quite a bit. But the Organza, the only reason why I would put it lower is just simply because I couldn't unleash either way. It had to be history, but the characters had to speak, and I had to find a middle ground. And I'm still torn in between the two. And I wasn't going to write write the book to be 4 times its size. I just don't do that. I want to get the story done and move on. I could, any one of those stories I have, and you could see it. I move things along, but I could take time and make them much, much longer, but it's just not the way I want to do things. It's not the way my mind works. You guys, I know a lot of you can agree with me. You go to any of these, like the History Channel or, Discovery or some of these things, and you watch these shows, and they give you a little bit of information, then they cut to commercial. And when they come back from commercial, they tell you that same information again and give you about 1 minute's worth of new information. They do that over and over again. So after the hour of watching this program, you've got maybe 10 minutes worth of information. And that pisses the heck out of me, because they could go on to do a whole hour of all this wonderful stuff. Instead, they just keep repeating it over and over. And whoever the writer is and the people that are doing it are either morons because they don't understand it. They have to be force-fed it over and over again. Or it's just a way to sell commercials. And I don't want to do that in my books. Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. Do you think this comes back to, as you say, you were talking in the beginning when we started about the kind of dumbing down of society? You said that people in the past were actually a lot smarter than we are now because of technology.
They were.
Do you think that's part of it as well?
No, I think it's because we settle for mediocrity.
Okay.
You look at Kurtzman. He gets hired, and there are I can 2 seconds. You can go to Straczynski. You can go to Joe Mazzola. The different guys that could outdo him in their sleep, and yet we're getting stuff that they keep pushing as this is great, and it's not great. It's not even good. It's not even bad. It's absolutely horrible and should never have had money applied to it. So yeah, our children get exposed to this stuff. We get exposed to mediocrity when it comes to teaching and books. They take away the classics. They were classics, like Tom Sawyer or Charles Dickens, which is one of my favorites. Shakespeare. Yes. Oh, well, Shakespeare doesn't apply today. That's because you don't have the brain to understand it. You've been dumbed down so low that you cannot use an analysis. It was interesting. I'm going to put a plug in for Speaker for the Dead. He did this thing about shipping. And you guys heard about shipping where they take two characters and say, oh, they'll be perfect in love, whether it be this or that or the other. Think about this. These people who are so obsessed with shipping and things of sex and relationships. And Dave Bob brought it up too, where it talks about the lizard brain or the primitive brain. When you're focused about those things, you start losing your higher reasoning. This is actual fact. And you start becoming more chemically bound and primitive bound. These people you cannot reason with simply because they don't have reason. And it's not an insult. It is simply they have been playing with their gonads for so long that their brain cannot read these books and understand them. It is physiologically impossible in the state that they are in. You give them a porno and they'll be all excited. You give them Shakespeare and they're lost. And it's because they shut their brains down. Not necessarily all their fault, because sometimes it's exposure to this crap at schools that are being force-fed garbage. I used to never like the song that was done by Pink Floyd, The Wall. But as I got older, I'm going, they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right. We're making idiots out of our kids.
Yes, thinking back to when I was at school, I did a lot of kind of independent reading because the books they gave us were so easy, I found. It was very simple books. They never really challenged us. If we did do Shakespeare, it was, the obvious ones. It was Romeo and Juliet. I think we did Macbeth once. But they never really kind of got into the classics. And there are so many amazing stories out there that people just never open. They never know them unless they do the research for themselves.
Another thing about it too is when you actually read, and you know this because you're well read, you are taken from your day-to-day seeing, analyzing, and put into a place where you're using visual and imagination and being put in situations where you have to use your brain to bring everything into focus, where you don't do that otherwise. When you're getting told the same thing over and over again for an hour television program, none of that part of your brain is turned on. And they say, people used to have, when I was a kid, they say most people have an attention span about 15 minutes. Now they say most people have an attention span about 30 seconds. What has happened? No, I'm serious. And they do these surveys where they say, how long does it take before you think about something with sex? And most of the time, people, it's like 2 minutes. When my friends and I, we never had the conversation at all. We didn't think about it. Even when puberty hit, it was, she's cute, but we didn't think about that type of stuff. Go out on a date or what have you, but it wasn't in the wheelhouse. It was things that were preserved for certain situations while we had real business to do, like repairing a car or going to the beach or, planning this or that or the other. The brain is absolutely wonderful, and we use so little of it compared to what we used to. You brought it up again after I had said that, 100 years ago. Think about these people, and I've often said this, and I believe this, because my wife's friend, her brother has this farm up in northern Wisconsin where everyone is going to figure out how he did this. It's a holistic farm with beef and milk cattle. And
Okay.
it's the highest quality around. I mean, just absolutely highest quality around. But this guy's a farmer, and he's brilliant, and he's figured out a way to make these cows happy, make the meat good, and make the milk pure, and making lots of money at it. He's a farmer. We hire these politicians that are trained to lie because they're lawyers. Lawyers are trained liars. And put them on a pedestal and give them lots of money to lie to us. Where's the sense in that? I would rather kick them all out and bring in these farmers, these people that cut hair for people. You know, I'm thinking of Forty and Barber, because they talk with people all day long. They learn the stories. They learn what people are really like. Start putting these people in, because they can create, they can imagine, they can build, they can do things which lawyers cannot do. They're going to be honest about it, and they're not going to lie about it.
Yes. Just piggybacking off that, one of my favourite authors, which I've talked about a lot in the past, was Terry Pratchett. Now, he had many, many jobs, and one of the jobs that he did when he was very young was a journalist. He said the most experience he ever got was getting to speak to people one-on-one from that, and that's where a lot of these kind of ideas came from. I would say pretty much anybody who gets to work with the general public for any length of time will get some real stories, because you meet some crazy characters.
Yeah, being a doctor, you really get the crazy ones.
Oh, I can imagine. I would actually love if you ever wrote a biography, Adega. I think that would be fascinating as well.
Seeing things that people put in their bodies in various different areas with x-rays, even old ladies and old men, you would be surprised. You having these snaggletooth old women with tattoos that have been smoking forever and their hair's falling out, and you know, one eye is twisted off to the other way and their skin is all blotchy, and they come in, my boyfriend says we can't do it this way, and I'm just going, what? Just do it. What? You got a headache because you're hitting the headboard. Now, what? I don't want to see your boyfriend. Do not bring him in. I don't want to know what that is. You know, and that's not uncommon. And you have to be able to. My wife's thing is say crap with a smile, only she uses more colorful language than I do. You got to learn to be able to say crap with a smile. And you get these people that come in and they're dead serious and they're dead idiots and they're telling you this stuff, but I'm just going, okay. And you do, and I honestly, I was in it because I wanted to help people and I wanted to help them. But there are certain lifestyle aspects of, you know, like when you see a little old guy who comes in, 80 years old, he's got chains down here that he hides, and then he's got things pierced through his lower half that he hides, and you wonder, this old man knows how to party. 80 years old, and he's getting action that I don't want to know about.
But he's had a fascinating life, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, even if you did it under a pseudonym, Adega, you've got to write your biography, because I think that would be a bestseller. Some of the
It's in my
stories,
books.
I'm sure.
My biography's in my books.
And thank you again to Psycho Dwarfani. He says, has anyone recently read school books from 1955? We are being stupefied.
Here's a couple things for you. Do they still use UHF, or is everything digital in Europe?
It's pretty much digital. I think in like Eastern Europe, we still got the UHF. We still do the kind of terrestrial channels as well, but most of it's gone digital now. Right,
and it's the same with radio. And do they teach handwriting there, or is it everything printed?
Oh, you mean cursive?
Yeah.
Now, I learned to write in cursive, but I know.
Right. But nowadays, do they?
Not that I'm aware of. No, it's printed. They teach them to print the letters rather than to link them up.
You ever wonder why?
I'm not sure, but I know kids can't read cursive nowadays.
Right. They can't read the old texts, the old documents. Mm-hmm. They couldn't read the Constitution of our country if they wanted to. The Magna Carta. They couldn't because they haven't been trained. Right. And then the UHF used to be able to, you could do almost free broadcasting from anywhere. Now it's all controlled because it's digital. You can't communicate through those means anymore. They shut it off. And Psychodorf said it's dumbifying. Yeah, you get funneled in to this one little corral.
Yes, it's easier than ever to, connect with people. I mean, think of what we're doing right now, but as you say, it's like going down a corridor, whereas it should be, a maze where you can take different routes to get to the same destination.
And if you have the 7 billion minds of this planet all working in their imagination, various different directions, this is why I love it when other people write books, write tons of books, because the collective knowledge is astonishing, and we could never learn it all. But when we put it together as a collective and everyone use what they need instead of what you're being told, then we expand and we grow. We create new things. We go new places. We have new ideas and new things to try and accomplish. The Wright brothers didn't make a plane simply because they had the spare parts. Their minds thought of this. And that there, again, is proof that something that was never able to be done before, these people over 100 years ago were able to take us to new places, building cars, steam engines, those type of things. Here it's a new and faster computer. Well, what's beyond the computer? Has anyone thought about that? No.
What's the next step? Yeah.
Right.
The only thing that I am kind of happy about is we seem to be getting back towards the whole idea of space travel that's been reignited within people, whereas in the last 30 years that kind of got put on the shelf. So I was going to ask, do you think that's going to be our next step in evolution? Are we going to conquer the stars? Will we colonize Mars? Is that where we will be going to?
We have to. We have to. People say, well, and this is what kills me about the environmentalists. There's a lot of things about the environmentalists that are wrong. But the biggest thing is, they talk about evolution and this and that and the other. And whether or not you believe in evolution or you believe in a religious aspect where we were created, it doesn't matter, because the principle is still the same. When you are the top of the chain, if you do not grow and expand, you die. We have to grow. We have to go. We have to expand. Otherwise, there won't be anything left.
Yes.
And it's not a matter of destroying the earth. It's just a matter of us becoming so stagnant we turn upon ourselves, kind of like what's going on now.
Yes.
Where the vastness out there is just waiting for us to make better, make beautiful. We have to.
Yeah. You've said it in the past, look for the people that are pulling the strings, who are, who's behind the curtain. And I absolutely agree with that. And Psychodorf, again, he says, we could not build a pyramid now. People think that we're smarter. Absolutely.
Right. I was just watching a thing about these giant monoliths, megalithic stones, things that weigh thousands of tons. We don't have equipment to do that, and yet they're saying they did this with logs and stone tools. Something happened thousands of years ago. Now, if you're religious, you would think it was something that happened before the flood, where these people were so far advanced, they were building this. Flood came, wiped it all out, and it's rested the way it is. Makes sense.
Yeah.
If you are not in the religious aspect, we had an advanced society that eventually said, we're done here, and they took off.
Yes.
Or some natural disaster, because there's things, I think I brought it up once, that talked about the squatting man, where Saturn actually existed brighter, had a plasma ejection, and it destroyed our environment, natural causes from the solar system, and it set us back because it ruined everything. Anyway, there's all kinds of ways about it. We were once upon a time much smarter than we are now.
Yes, I mean, the idea of Atlantis has got to have come from somewhere, this highly advanced civilization that just disappeared. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right, and it was a contemporary of the ancient Indians from the India Indians. Some people say dots, not the feathers. I guess that came off of a movie. It was a pretty good analogy. But yeah, some of their ancient, the Valedic texts, the old things, say that that's the way we were until the catastrophes hit. So.
Absolutely. Dave Bob says, it infuriates me when people think aliens built ancient monoliths. People are smarter than you think.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or we could
Yeah.
be. We could be.
We could be. Yeah. And it's like you say, it does seem that there is at the moment a kind of stagnation of us, of the species. So I dearly hope that we kind of get that explorer gene back that we used to have, you know, the wanting to find out what is beyond the horizon. And if
Well, the
that's
gene's
the
still
case,
there.
yeah.
We're on the verge of another renaissance. I think we have to go through some troubled times in order to get there. The stupidity has to be rooted out. It happened back, you know, we had the plague and a few other things before the age of reason kicked in and the Renaissance kicked in, where art, culture, thinking, exploration just really took off. And I think we're on the verge of that again, maybe 100 years from now or less, but I don't think it's very far off, where we're going to do it again.
I agree. It seems like the chat does as well. Arwin says people weren't limited because they didn't have the technology we do today. They used what they had, and we weren't tied because they didn't know any difference. Exactly.
You know,
I think there's a lot of kind of complacency now.
but there's some brilliance in that too, especially when it comes to movies, because some of you know I did this thing on Monday nights on Orville Nation with Joe Mazzoli. He's done more sci-fi television than anyone on the planet. And let me go back to, I want to make sure I get this right. If you have a movie and you have a budget of, say, 200 million, and you guys have heard this already, they play with that. They do make digital this and CJ that, and they cover for the actors. Where if you have a budget of 40 million simply for food, location, costumes, the crew, then you come up with something like Joker, where it makes more money, absolutely brilliant acting, and it had nothing to do with the technology or the resources that were provided. It had to do with the brain power of the people that were involved. So I agree with what she said.
I do also, yeah. It's like you learn to kind of use what you've got. You know, when you've got a massive budget, then you do waste it on other things. Another one, not probably the best example, would be the first Saw film that was made on a shoestring budget, but it did incredibly well because they used what they could to make it. But yeah, I absolutely agree with Joker. There is one more thing that I was going to ask before we sadly have to wrap up. We've known each other for a long time. You've been a huge part of Valhalla. How did you arrive in Valhalla? What's the story behind that?
You know, you asked me that earlier before we went on, and I was trying to think, because I hooked up with Loki's channel like in a second or third live stream, and I think it was simply because of the name. I saw it in chat on a Geeks and Gamers thing, I believe.
Oh.
And I don't think it was Doomcock, but I think he made a mention there. Had kind of a cool icon. It's because back then you used to be able to click and see what people were doing, you know. And when someone makes a smart comment, I follow the smart people, or I used to. Well, you still could. I go to their channel and say, "What's this guy doing?" And I went there and I said, "Oh, he's doing the same kind of similar type thing with Geeks and Gamers. I'm going to start hanging out." And I went from there. Just I follow the smart people. At least I try to, you know, because if you follow dumb people, you're going to be dumb. If you follow smart people, you may learn something. And so I'm trying to hang out with people that are going to teach me stuff. That's why I'm here.
Wow. We've got a lot of smart people in the chat today, as we can tell. I was just curious because I've just always known Adega to be with us. He's always been part of the community, and I'm so blessed.
Well, I was just trying to hang out in the crowd. I don't know what it was, a comment or two, and then Loki started going, you, and I just going, what? We became friends. I mean, we're good friends. You know, we don't talk all the time, but if he needs something from me, it's heartbeat or vice versa. But I never ask for anything. Just the way I am.
That's amazing. Thank you. Adega, tell us a little bit about the channel and where people can find you, and if you've got anything coming up in the future. What can we look forward to from you?
Those of you who were on Loki's stream a couple weeks ago know that the publishing company I work with folded. I was recruited because it was much like Top Fives. They saw what I wrote and said, "You're coming with us." And I said, "Okay." They gave me a great deal, but through circumstances, basically, if you have a building and you drop a nuke on it, that building's not going to stand, and it was no fault of the building. It's pretty much what happened with the publishing company. I have nothing but the most wonderful respect for the people who were trying to do what they were doing. And I believed in them. That's why I followed them. I try and make intelligent decisions. I thought I had, but just some things didn't work out. So I am currently mostly because people want it, not because I'm really that interested, trying to find another publishing company that wants my stuff. If I was earnest about it, it'd probably happen pretty quick. But I'm putting the effort here and there. And then I'm writing for Top Fives. I'm going to start putting more effort into it because I've already got other projects that I have to do for them. I don't have to, but they asked me to do it. And then I started this new book because the fantasy aspect, you guys don't see the Blood Witch, and that is one of my absolute favorites. If it's fantasy, I absolutely adore the Blood Witch. It was huge, went very well. But the history of it is on my channel. You can listen. If you guys like audiobooks, you can go there because that's basically what my channel is all my stuff, and I read it.
Absolutely.
But it was one night when I had this idea, and you can hear all about it in the prologue, or go to the playlist, and it'll have the Reach and the very first one. I was just thinking about things, and this idea came up, and so I wrote it down and put audio to it and figured, that's just a little filler. And people loved it, absolutely loved it. I got a better response from it than I have with anything. And so I am doing this as more of a challenge to me and also to the people who liked it. I want to make sure that they have a fulfillment to their expectations. Basically, what the Reach is, I'll give you what I did in the brief on the prologue, is, and I'm a big music fan. You listen to music and sometimes it will take you into other worlds, kind of like what fantasy books do. But music allows your mind to go where you want to go, not necessarily where the reader is directing you. And in the story, the two lead characters in totally different universes that work completely different physics, everything, are doing this at the right time, at the right frequency, with the right quantum energy, and are able to connect. And that connection is magic, not real magic, but it brings about such an amazing experience to both of them that they try and reconnect. And again, it's across universe. It's not like trying to do, remote viewing to another planet. This is something that was never even theorized existed, and yet they touched. And each universe has its troubles. Next week, you're going to get into another one. This week, you're going to get hints of one of the universe's troubles. And eventually, they're going to start figuring out how to communicate and how to help each other. And then there's things along the way that interfere. This may end up being quite a big book if I get everything in.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, but I'm doing it to challenge myself. If you guys listen to it, you'll know that I'm writing it totally different. And my other stuff, you'll see a puppet show, so you can know this person's talking, this person's talking. I have these little images that kind of represent the characters. And they're not perfect. And it's better just to listen to it than to watch. But in this one, I'm deliberately leaving them out. I want you to work as hard as I do to try and go.
So this is more interactive
I hope so.
with the audience.
I hope so.
Like
because
I like that.
One species you'll find out from this other universe, they don't hear at all. And it goes back to the thing that I did with top fives. And this is why I picked some of the characters with the top five, some of the creatures that I use. They have photophores, meaning they can make their skin change colors. And they have amazing eyes where they can see through the ultraviolet to gamma and everything, where they will do patterns and color changes, and they can read these things. And that's how they communicate. But their existence is on such a bonded and unified level. It is incredibly peaceful for the most part. They do run into troubles, and it will come out what happens, and they have no way to solve it. But their universe is different. Like, they have a green sun. Plants listen to them. I wanted to go places that other people haven't gone, and I wanted to stretch myself to write something that in order to get my mind onto paper, that worked really hard. So I'm trying to drag whoever wants to go along for the ride into something new. And I doubt it would be a long time before anything like this will be able to be accurately represented on anything, because I can't find images. Sometimes I just have to do lights for this one society, because it's you have to listen to it more than you have to see it.
It's definitely more, you've got to engage your imagination. I love that. I love the idea of, it goes back to, again, what you were talking about before, bringing people and getting them to use their brains rather than kind of drip feeding them the information.
I hope so.
So I love that idea. That's fantastic. And guys, thank you so much. The chat is absolutely lighting up for you, Adega. They love you. We've got so many nice comments. Yeah. It's a great stream. Been listening in the background. Thank you, Bud Boy Productions. Thank you, guys. And Adega, thank you. Honestly, I've been asking. Well, I've been hoping that Adega would say yes for a long time.
All you have to do is ask.
I know, but I always feel bad about bothering you, because I know that you're busy.
Well, most people, if they bother me, I be flat out honest with you people. I don't see it. And then sometimes if it's trivial and I know that you can solve it yourself, I'd prefer you to solve it yourself, because that makes you better and it takes a burden off of me. But there are a few people, when they ask, it doesn't matter when or where, I will help. And you are one of them.
Thank you sincerely, and it's been an absolute honor to get to chat with you, and even more so to get to read your
that's
work.
the biggest thing. Guys, too.
That's
the biggest thing too. She keeps saying all the nice things about my stuff. I just like going, yeah, I want to hang out with her. Keep saying nice things about me, please. It feels good.
It's kind of a symbiotic relationship. I love it. And guys, if you managed to find the book, this is what you're looking for. So there's your challenge for anyone who does not have a copy. This is the book that Adega was talking about. So it is out there. If you can find it, I can't recommend it highly enough. It is a wonderful book, as are all of his stories. So guys, please, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to Adega's channel. You will not regret it. A massive thank you to everybody joined us today. You guys are the best. We had some amazing comments. I've been reading through them, didn't manage to grab all of them, but you guys are really, I am blown away every time that we do these shows. Massive thank you to everybody who sent super stickers and super chats. You guys are very, very generous, and I am very grateful for you all. Adega, we'll be back with Loki. Well, you're back this evening, aren't you, on your channel?
Yeah, and it's not, I'm not live. It's just a preview of what did I do? Is this the 4th chapter? Yeah, it's the 4th chapter. So you get to learn a little bit about one of the main characters. I'm still doing background. Background will probably go for 15, 20 chapters before things really get interesting. So yeah, that's what's going on tonight. I just chat with people through the script.
Well, I will be there, and I will be listening. And of course, you will be back on Thursday with Loki giving us more spooky stories and taking a dive into the darker side of reality, as people love. So, guys, have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I will be back tomorrow morning as usual. Much love to everybody, and especially to Adega. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.